why don't everybody just share one thing, and it's like, like consistent training, consistent training such as Ignite and Bold, and then we just keep on going, and then by the time you know it, you're going to have 7 or 8 different consistent training.
So here's my thing. I didn't have time to slow down, so I just hired somebody that is now going to be taking over training of the new hires because I don't have time or the patience to deal with, trying to get them up and running and stuff like that. So I had to use leverage and leverage it out in order to get everybody trained up the way that they need. So I don't know how you want to word that, but
I don't know how you word that either. Could you expand that out? Even though he told us that.
Should we go back to you while you think about that?
Well, that's fine.
So a standard would be, meeting with your coach or productivity coach consistently.
So coaching,
Yeah.
which is I think different than training.
Yep.
What would you say?
I'll pass. Let
We're
somebody
going
else.
to come back to you.
Open houses. 2 per month. Especially for new hires.
So that might be,
Showing assistant program.
I might even call that prospecting standards.
Yep.
Right?
Lead gen.
Lead gen.
Standard is lead
Lead gen.
Generating every day.
Lead gen.
I would say events like coming to family reunion, coming to
Invest in
Might
yourselves. Invest
throw
in
that
training.
into coaching and training.
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
absolutely.
Okay.
Mine is 4 conversations on a weekly basis, at a team meeting or huddle or whatever. But having those 4 conversations so that if you're not meeting your numbers, why are you not meeting those numbers? And then, right? And how do you do those?
4 times a week? Are you talking?
No. The 4 conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback off that real quick? I think as far as that's concerned, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. I'll come back. I'm sorry.
So we might call that rainmaker to agent, rainmaker to leverage,
Just holding them accountable to what their goals are.
right?
And the 4
Which-
conversations are
Appointments. Actually, is it calls, appointments, listings, or closings in GCI?
okay. For me, it's picking up the phone and calling past clients in Sphere for coffee. That I'm doing at least 5 of those a day.
Would you call that lead gen or lead follow-up?
I would call it lead gen because I'm not doing any of that right now. To come clean.
For me, it'd be like a weekly meeting, almost like a accountability meeting.
Yeah.
Just basically how many calls made, how many contacts, how many contracts did you write, how many did you close.
So I would probably tie your two together. It
Yeah.
really comes down to not necessarily one topic, right? But
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
What is our number one job?
Lead generation.
Lead generation. Without that, we have nothing. So for me, that is the number
so
one.
lead generation
And
standards.
time blocking standards with lead gen.
I kind of agree with all of these. I want to add in their lead follow-up, right?
Whatever,
The
five.
I
average.
kind of put that in lead gen.
Well, so when we go through Bold and a lot of the other bigger trainings, one of the things they say is that our main jobs are lead gen, lead follow-up, and negotiating contracts. Everything else has got to be leveraged, especially if we're going to perform at a high level. And I think when we don't separate those two out, we miss a really big window, right? So the average person is worth mega millions in income if we follow up with them appropriately. So I'm going to add for mine, we follow up. Did we miss anybody? Anybody want to come back, add anything else?
I mean, that's what I do. It's lead gen, and then everybody does everything
I think
else for me.
we don't want all a bunch of mini-me's on our team, I don't think. And all our agents have other skills that need to be enhanced, and we need to work and figure out what works best for them.
That's a great point. Not all
Okay,
of
but
us are
that
great
comes
at
back to the 4
everything.
conversations because if you're not making your appointments, then there's a skill that needs to be honed in on.
Yeah.
So it really is that rainmaker to leverage consistent conversation to make sure that not only are they a good fit for our team, but the team's a good fit for them. We're taking them to where they need to be. So we've got training, coaching, lead gen, weekly accountability, and lead follow-up. And they want us to come up with like our top 3. Out of those, what would you say are kind of our top 3 on an accountability
Lead gen
standpoint?
for sure.
Lead gen.
And lead follow-up.
Maybe they can make companies more.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'd say like the weekly meeting to make sure people are actually doing it.
Yeah.
Weekly.
Accountability meetings.
Yeah, to make sure it's actually being done.
Whatever time.
And I would say overall training. I mean, they've got to go to that training.
And they gotta know what to do, what to
Right.
say, how to say it.
It's hard to get it.
So weekly accountability, when I think about it,
Okay, ladies
can
and gentlemen,
include
1, 2,
training and
3.
coaching.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, do you feel good about where you're at in the conversation, or do you feel like you need a little bit more time? You need a little bit, how many of you feel like you need a little bit more time?
You don't need more time.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do, based upon the group, we're gonna move forward. Here's what I know, once we start talking about this, this is gonna be a bigger conversation. So we'll just get it all out on the table, because I've been listening to some of your tables, and I love what I'm hearing, and I think it's gonna cause us to have other things come up. So this side of the room was my right hire, correct? Okay, so team spokesman at the table, Roma, okay, perfect. So we're not gonna have you repeat anything, however, if you've got something to add as we go around the tables. So your job was to come up with 2 or 3 specific strategies to implement to impact making the right hires. So we're clear, go.
So we focused on the echo.
It's okay.
So the first hire, that assistant to really take us to the next level, and we are the missing persons report,
Okay,
career visioning.
okay, so y'all writing this down? So so here's the thing I'd like you all to hear. Okay, what is the first key hire according to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model?
Admin.
An executive assistant, that's the first hire. So if you're hiring somebody else outside of that, you're not following the what? And guess what? When you don't follow the model, do you have issues? Yes or no?
Yes.
Gary talked about the creativity. You don't get creative until you actually nail the model first. Okay? So we've got first hire, the missing persons report. Okay?
The full career visioning process.
Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, you all, this was a huge topic, yes or no? Yes. How many of you have taken career visioning? Okay, now, should you hire anybody before you take career visioning?
No.
And yet, how many of us have? You wonder why we have issues. It's not hard to figure out when you go back and you have 2020, right? Now, how many times should you take career visioning? Like, okay, so watch. How many of you have taken it 3 times or more? Keep your hands up. 5 times or more. 10 times or more. Okay? So guys, what we always were brought up in the company is you take it over and over and over and over until you master it, and then how do you master it? You teach it. And that's how you're going to get really good at hiring people. What else? I love this. Is this good so far? Yeah. Yeah, go.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Let's write that down. Hire slow, fire fast. What does that mean?
Take your time, make sure you have the right person in place, and if you know you don't, time to go.
First name again?
Matt.
Man, I need to hire somebody today. I can't wait. How many of you have hired out of need? How's that turned out? And then you have to be in the conference room when you're going to fire them, and it's the most uncomfortable thing you ever want to go through. So I always, whenever I would talk to people, I'd say, just picture the conference room when you have to fire them, and they're sitting across the table, and you tell them that you need to get out of a relationship with them because they haven't self-discovered they're not doing the job. Because do they ever self-discover they're not doing the job? Not usually, right? Unless you're putting real pressure on them. And then you get to sit across the table, you got to go, man, I think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. By the way, you're fired.
But I got 3 kids.
I know, and that's exactly what they do. You don't understand? I have a family to support. So guys, picture that conversation before you hire them. And if there's any doubt in your mind that you're going to have that conversation, you might not have the right hire. I love it. Anything else you would add?
You had a great suggestion of bringing in somebody else in your market center who's doing what you want and almost bringing them in for an interview to be very clear on what you want. For somebody who's a high D, high I salesman, I don't exactly know how to recognize that admin, director of operations talent when it's sitting in front of me. So if I can see that, it helps me with my interview process.
Are y'all hearing what he's saying? He's saying basically go find somebody in your market center, another market center, that's got a rock star talent, and take them out to lunch or take them out to coffee and pick their brain, and you'll very quickly see what talent sounds like. That is a great idea. Would y'all agree that's a great idea?
Absolutely.
That's almost worth the price of coming for the whole day today. Give them 2 quick claps, guys. Next table. Where's my spokesmodel? Okay, Bunny.
We also talked about the tools.
Okay.
Career visioning, 30, 60, 90. But then we talked about how you determine ROI. And,
Return on investment of the hire.
right. And about compensation, where you do what are the 3 levels? The unproven, emerging, and proven talent.
Right.
And, especially in some areas like the Bay Area where my table partners are working, you gotta figure out a way to make the compensation work, both for you and for the hire.
Right. What do you think the biggest challenge is with compensation of the person who's hiring somebody? Raise your hand. What do you think the biggest challenge is? I'll rephrase it. Thank you so much. When agents hire people, what do you think their biggest mindset challenge is in relationship to compensation? You're kind of on the right track. Most of them say there's no way I'm paying that person that money. Will I be able to afford it? Guys, write this down. You get what you pay for. And by the way, if you do a great career visioning and you take them through the process, they'll demonstrate the value to you right there in the process, and you won't have any challenge with paying them. Now, if you've been to career visioning, you've probably heard this. Talent will work for a base and opportunity, true or false? So in other words, when you find talent, they won't go, I need $100,000 to come into your world. They say, I need to make $100,000 and you show me how. That's what talent sounds like. So the difference is I need to make 100, and if I don't, it doesn't work for me. You show me how to make 100, and I'll figure out what I need to do. That's talent. Nothing else? Awesome. 2 quick claps. Go.
Well, our top 2 things have already been said. So, involve your coach in the process.
What? You should have a coach? How many of you have a MAPS coach in here? Raise your hand. Okay, keep it up high. How many of you that have a MAPS coach, that MAPS coach helped you in the hiring process? Raise your hand. Okay, now some of the hands went down, so what I would say to you is have that conversation with your MAPS coach, because as a MAPS coach, if somebody was going to hire somebody, I had to coach the person who was going to hire the wrong person, and we had a great conversation up front. In fact, they allowed me to interview that client and go, you're not, I'd said a couple of times to clients, and I worked with a lot of great people, and I said, you know what, Jake, as much as I think that's a great, you're not hiring. And they go, why not? And I said, well, here's why, because I interviewed the candidate, and they said things, and I'm like, whoa. And you know when you're around talent. It's called, defense. And now in career visioning, you have other people interview them, multiple people. And by the way, if they really care for you, they'll be honest and go, Jake, that's not right. That's not the right hire for you. You're hiring out a need. Here's one other thought, write this down. When you have 2 or more candidates, 2 or more people that you could actually make an offer to that they would accept the job, you've done a great job in career visioning. If you only have 1, you haven't done a great job. Because the 1 might say no, and then you're back to square 1. And if you have 2 and they're both great, man, what a great world that is to operate in. Make sense, yes or no? Question? Yeah, and that probably came up somewhere in career visioning. Okay, anything else?
Involve your leadership in the interview process.
Involve your market center leadership, your team leader, even maybe possibly your OP, your productivity coach. Yeah, I love those ideas. 2 quick claps. Okay, this is our last one on our right hire.
So I think a lot of stuff was said already. The other one is hire for where you're going, not where you are.
Talk a little bit more about that.
When you're thinking about a hire for your vision for somebody's going to build into a bigger role,
Okay.
rather than have a need for right now because they might not be able to grow with you.
So, are y'all here? Okay, so let's take this. My first hire is an executive assistant. Where am I?
Become director of operations.
Okay, so they're actually going to grow into a bigger role, and then they're going to find their replacement. Y'all with me? Say yes?
Yes.
That's how you should hire. Now, will that always happen that way? No, absolutely not. It's not going to always happen. Yet that's the vision. Do I have talent? Okay, I love that. What else? That's it? Did these guys do a good job? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You weren't so convincing there, by the way. Okay, let's go to what were your guys? This middle role. What was your job?
Accountability.
Oh, this should be fun. Accountability. Who wants to start? Oh, we're already starting up front. Way to go, Catherine.
We
Two things.
set standards and expectations very clearly.
Okay, standards. So can I stop you right there? Do you think the challenge is setting standards or upholding them? Upholding. So I love that you said set standards. Would you write next to that upholding them? Okay, what else?
4 conversations.
Okay, so the 4 conversations, which is consistent with the model. And so by 4 conversations, you mean actually having the 4 conversations as part of the topic. Okay, I love that. What else? Anything else? Nothing else? You have more? Okay, well, let's see what happens. 2 quick laps. Go, Keith.
So what we came up with was benchmarks in 411.
Okay. So would a 411 be a standard? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
So here's a question. No right or wrong, no judgment. No bad or good, right or wrong. How many of you actually do a 411 consistently? Okay, now I asked that question for a reason, not to make you right or wrong. However, you can't do a 411 with somebody that when you're not what? Doing a 411. So here's the thing that concerns me a little bit as a coach and as MAPS coach and as a representative of MAPS. Many more of you raised your hand and said you were in MAPS coaching, yes or no?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in MAPS coaching and you're not doing a 411, will you write this down right now? I'm having a conversation with my coach about my 411. Because if you're not doing a 411 with your coach, then it's kind of great conversation. So if you've got a MAPS coach and you're not doing your 411, it's not right or wrong, bad or good. It's an action item. It's a what?
Action item.
Okay. Because that's a standard. That's a system and a model. By the way, y'all asked for systems and models. We're nailing them right now. What else, Keith?
Brought us to the next one. Have a mastery coach.
Have a mastery coach. Why is it so important to have a mastery coach?
Well, because they're there to keep you accountable.
Okay, so
And grow.
let's be honest. Do you like being held accountable? You're actually human beings. You don't like to be held accountable because when you're held accountable, that removes your freedom of choice. Your freedom of what?
Choice.
And when you remove my freedom of choice, like, do you see how we're dressed today? See this? Isn't this pretty cool? Well, this was a freedom of choice. If you ever have come to Mega Camp or Family Reunion before, if you were a MAPS representative, as we are, we'd be in suits and ties. And they said, hey guys, we're going to give you the freedom of choice. We want you to dress business casual. I love this. It's comfortable. I don't like ties. However, I have an accountability to Diane. Are you with me? Say yes.
Yes.
See, so accountability is not comfortable, and yet that's why you have coaches, Key, because they don't care about how you feel about accountability. Their job is to help you succeed in your goal. So if any of you have any desire, it's the only thing I'm going to say about MAPS coaching, if you have any desire to explore that opportunity, when you walk out of the room today, our MAPS coaches will stay and we'll have any conversation with you. We won't pressure you. It's not about pressuring you. Yet, the way to go to the next level is to have a coach. It's a proven model. So, thank you so much. 2 quick laps. Next table. Joey.
So, I think we just covered this accountability partner. One of our team members meets with a partner every morning, and then one of our members, they have a team accountability meeting every morning. Everyone goes over their 411. And then the second one is time block.
Okay, tell me what you mean by time block.
Identifying what's important to do every day and blocking out your calendar.
Okay, so let me present a scenario to you. Let's talk about this for a second. You're the rainmaker. You're the what? Rainmaker. And you may have accountability with one person on your team because they're your first hire, executive assistant. And you schedule to meet with them at 9 o'clock every Monday or every Friday to do their 411. Are you with me? Say yes.
Yes.
Do you know how many times those appointments are blown off by agents? Often, Jake. And then what does that tell the agent or the executive assistant about the value of how you see them?
Not important.
So if they feel the value is not important, do you think that'll impact their performance with you on the team? Yes or no? And I get it, you guys. I built a mega team. I get it. It's always like, I got to do this deal. I got to do this deal. I got to do this deal. So it's okay. They'll understand. I'll just move it over here and I'll do it on Monday. And then Monday comes and guess what? You're busy from the weekend. If there is one thing that I could give you as part of that is in fact, write this down. Keep your commitments. Keep your commitments. You keep your commitment on a listing appointment, yes or no? Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I decided you weren't important today. Could I meet with you at 2 on Monday? You're not saying that to your team or the people that you lead, and yet that's how they hear it or feel it. Awesome. 2 quick claps. Aaron.
All right, so a lot of what was mentioned, surprisingly,
is in the conversation.
Right, and some of our topics are a little bit broader, so we had things like training and coaching, which we believe are 2 different things.
They are.
So a lot of it was built around standards and keeping everybody on our teams accountable to those standards.
Okay.
Because they're only standards if they're standards, right?
Okay.
We talked about the 4 conversations. We had in ours lead generation and lead follow-up. Those are
2 distinctive things.
2 distinctive things, and those are our main jobs, even if we own the team. And if we're not doing them, why should we expect our agents to?
Well, by the way, if you're not doing them, they won't do them. Because the leaders lead and they watch you and they go, well, if you don't do it, then I'm not going to do it. Aaron, hold on. What's the definition? What's the difference between lead generation and lead follow-up?
Lead generation is new.
Okay.
Lead follow-up is continuing to follow up with the previous lead.
So I drive by a for sale by owner today. I see a sign. I call them. Lead gen or lead follow-up?
Lead generation.
They outstrip me. I don't get an appointment today. I call them back next week. Do you notice how I said that, ladies and gentlemen? I call them back next week. Is that lead gen or lead follow-up?
Follow-up.
And what do most people think that is?
Lead gen.
And that's part of why we struggle in hitting our numbers, because we may more often be in lead follow-up when we really need to be in what?
Lead gen.
Because if this is my lead follow-up table and I got 7 leads to follow up, and I follow up, and these guys don't turn into anything, what do I have? I got nothing, and because I didn't lead generate, I got nothing, and nothing plus nothing equals nothing. Thank you. Our 2 quick claps. We had a question over here, or a comment or a thought. Stand up if you would. You have more energy when you stand up. Thank you.
Anyway, so I think part of the thing, I don't know if anybody here is in leadership or OP or TLs or ATLs or productivity coaches. I think a big thing that I've noticed in a couple different market centers is, yes, you're right when you talk about honoring people's time, but I think it's important if we're in leadership to honor other people's time. And I think one of the challenges that I've seen with the growth initiative, not saying that I agree or disagree with it from a conceptual standpoint, but I think one of the challenges, we've gone into this mindset of double booking because we need to get these numbers.
Yes.
I don't know about anybody else, but I feel a certain way, and you can spin it and BS it all you want, but if people don't honor your time, it's hard for other people to honor their time.
I agree.
So I think it's important that we, like you said, I think when we talked about leading from example, time blocking, I think it just comes down, keeping your commitments, I think it comes down to one word, which is part of Keller Williams' whole philosophy, is integrity.
Integrity.
So I think we should honor, to honor other people's time, we have to honor yours first, and we shouldn't be arrogant or prideful or egotistical to say and think that the agents in our office are doing X, Y, and Z, because I think it's easy for a TL or ATL to say, oh, Johnny didn't even honor the time. What are you not doing for them not to honor the time? So I just think it's important that we honor people's time, and that as leaders running the market center and leading and developing other agents, that we do a good job to show them that we care about them and their time.
Absolutely.
And then we'll, by way of doing that, get better results.
I do not disagree with anything that you said, because everything always starts with leadership.
That was really good.
And people follow leaders. So let me give you an example. You have a team leader in your market center, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you follow that team leader? Well, here's the thing. You're all followers of that team leader. Because leaders have followers and followers follow leaders. Are y'all getting where I'm going with this, yes or no? Yes. So, I have a leader, it's Diana. I follow Diana. Diana has a leader, Gary Keller. So she's a leader and she's a what? Because followers always have leaders and leaders always have followers. Ladies and gentlemen, every one of you in this room is a leader. Now, I know y'all don't look at that yourself that way sometimes, yet you are. Are you a leader in your family, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Are you, some of you leaders in the Market Centers ALC members?
Yes.
Are you leaders on your team?
Yes.
So you're all what?
Leaders.
Are you leaders in a household? Are you leading children if you have children? Guys, you're all leaders. And that deal with leadership is so critical that you have, the honor goes both ways. The honor goes both ways. So I love that you said that. And here's the other thing, one thing on this whole accountability thing. I want you to write the word down, leverage, and then I want you to write down 3 things from MREA, because you might have forgotten them, you might misconstrue them. In Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary says there's 3 leverage points. System, people, and tools. Systems, people, and tools. And I want you to go back to read MREA a couple times and understand that leverage is through those 3 things, sometimes all 3 at the same time. And you've got to understand that leverage through leadership, and that doesn't mean, hey, go do this because you're my follower. That's not how it works. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Okay. This was we're talking about leadership. What a great segue. Where's my team captain? Leadership. Let me ask you one question before this comes up. You're all entrepreneurs, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Who taught you how to be a leader? So you're leading entrepreneurially in most cases, yes or no?
Yes.
And so I only point that out to get you to start thinking about what some of your action items could be. What type of books are you reading on leadership? What type of videos are you watching about leadership? What type of leaders are you interviewing and are being your mentors? Because leadership is not something you pick up or read in a book, and it doesn't happen overnight, and you're going to make a bunch of mistakes on it. Leadership is a process. It's a journey. I have failed way more in leadership over the years than I've succeeded, and I've learned more from the failure than I have in the success. Go.
Okay. So we were discussing education for the people that we're hiring and making sure that we are basically training them and establishing expectations so that we have something black and white to follow and to enforce and execute on.
So can I go deep on when you say education for your hires, because I think it's important, what do you specifically mean by that? Like, is there a certain class?
Well, everyone mentioned the 30-60-90 consistently. That's a great starting point for everybody.
For you, for us.
I think for everyone.
Okay, so write that down, 30, 60, 90, and that comes from, of course, the career visioning process. Okay, what else?
Well, one thing we didn't get to, but was just mentioned by Megan at the end, was culture. I think from a leadership standpoint.
Okay.
And that's something that's kind of being reinforced by us being here, is us seeing that and what it looks like. This is a good example of what we should all be paying attention to trying to duplicate back at our center.
So here's a question when you say culture, because I love this. By the way, if you're going to have a cohesive team, do you need to have a cohesive culture, yes or no? Yes. So who decides that culture? Who decides it?
Leader.
So here's the question. If I walked up to you and I said, hey, Jeff, my name is Pat Mancuso. Nice to meet you. And you own a business? I'd love to be in business with you. Tell me your culture. Now, I'm putting him on the spot, and I'm not going to have him go any farther. Thank you, by the way. Would you all be, or some of you be challenged to be able to answer that question just like that, yes or no? Yes. Now, that's not right, wrong, bad, or good. That's what you're talking about. That culture comes from within, so that's a great action item. What is my culture? How am I going to define that for my team? And can I say it in 1 or 2 words? Or 1 or 2 sentences? Okay, what up? Anything else? Yeah, because we got less tables, so give me one more. Do you have a third one?
Third one, let's see. Education, training, expectations, goal setting was a big thing that we talked about, and I think that's important so that you know which direction you're headed, and you want the local view and the 30,000 foot view. So it's long view for the business, but you also want to have tangible goals that you can get to quickly.
Is it goals just for you?
I think it's for your employees so that you can hold them accountable and you can also celebrate successes when you get there, which then kind of goes along with the culture.
So I want to mastermind in this one real quick because I love this. Your first hire you said was your executive assistant, yes or no?
Yes.
How do you set goals for your executive assistant? Okay, so you ask them what their intentions are in terms of
Growth.
How to move your business forward.
okay, so I like that. What about their goals? So what do they expect out of working with you? Number one, in terms of income, and then number two, where is their career path? Anything else? You guys have hired people. They're 20%. What do you mean, Jake? Okay, so we're clear on their activities, their actual role. In all of this, you guys comes out clear visioning. So that goal setting piece is a big one as part of cohesively leading a team. Love it. 2 quick claps. Next.
Okay. We said casting the vision, actually communicating it out, not just making a good secret between us and our MAPS coach, our spouse, whatever.
So it's actually that it's out there that if I ran into you in an elevator, you could tell me. Here's the question.
Our team members can say it.
What everybody on the team.
Actually know what it is. Yeah.
Is culture different than vision?
Yeah.
So vision is where we're going. Culture is how we're going to operate.
That's good.
Okay, keep going. I love it because it is separate.
Number 2, identify the 20% activities we must do them first, and do them every day.
So 20%. So when you say identify the 20% activities that we need to do from a leadership perspective.
As the leader of the team.
Okay, so do y'all think this might be helpful? Let's identify those 20% activities from a leadership perspective. Do you think this might be helpful? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll bring you all into the conversation. What are the 20% activities from a leadership perspective on a daily basis? From your perspective, raise your hand. We'll go quickly. Okay, so would y'all write this down, Brittany? Prospecting for talent. Ladies and gentlemen, the way that you're going to make great hires is you consistently prospect for talent every day. Every day. Now here's the cool part about this. If you think in terms of system, people, and tools, how could you leverage your other lead generation for talent every day? Think about it. So you're lead generating for buyers, you're lead generating for sellers. How could you lead generate for talent while you're doing that?
Just add on one more question.
Go. So, since you raise your hand, how does that sound at the end of a call? Stand up if you would. I'm in your sphere. Matt, you're my Pat. You ask me who do I know by myself. Okay, and then what do you say?
Hey, I appreciate the time together. My business is growing. If you know anybody that might be an asset to me or anything else, please shoot them my way. Or do you have anybody I can call right now?
Guys, you can leverage every contact you make by the end of saying, hey, by the way, great job, Matt. My business is what?
Growing.
Did y'all write that down? Because if you didn't, it's the great intro to a script. My business is growing. I'm looking for talent. Who do you know that's looking for an opportunity? And that's where I leave it. Who do you know that's looking for an opportunity? Because that keeps the topic broad. And here's the thing I see sometimes with folks. They're too narrow in their lead gen. I might not be ready for a buyer's agent. However, if I come across talent that just got laid off from a sales organization, I'll figure out a way to get in a relationship with them, even though I may not be ready yet. Did y'all see how you could leverage that lead generation call for talent call, yes or no?
Yes.
Now, by the way, it doesn't even have to be in our database. For sale by owners, you might not know this. In fact, watch. How many of you were a for sale by owner before you became a real estate agent? Raise your hand. Raise it high. No, raise it high. Ladies and gentlemen, look around the room. Every time you call a for sale by owner, 1 or 2 of 10 of those folks likely become a real estate agent. It's right in the room. That's an aha, yes or no? Yes. Talent is everywhere. Okay. He wanted to know if those were the successful for sale by owners or the unsuccessful.
It's up to their leadership.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so is that an aha, yes or no?
Buddy.
So you want to leverage your lead generation for talent, leverage it through what you're doing already. Thank you, by the way. Give Matt a hand, 2 quick claps.
Yay!
Thanks, Matt. Okay, we did here. Did we give you guys 2 quick claps? You did, we did. Okay, give 2 quick claps. Honor everybody. Okay, here we go. Spencer?
So we talked about script practice being one of the really big ones for leadership.
What script?
Which one are you using the most?
Which one would be the most important one first for us to practice? Well, it could be the one we're supposed to use that day in accountability. So then it would really be the one that we're using for accountability. Now, by the way, is that uncomfortable or comfortable for most of us? Uncomfortable. And that's why we avoid it. Because having an accountability conversation with somebody is uncomfortable because you're going to push them and they're not going to like it. What else, Spencer?
We brought up the idea of doing weekly meetings consistently and doing 411s and CGIs and cash talks.
So there's, we write down CGI. So if you have team members, should your goals be in CGI, yes or no? Yes. Should their goals be in CGI, yes or no? Yes. And see, when you tie this into Kelly, it's such a nice fit. So anything else, Spencer?
15th protocol.
Ooh, talk about the 15th protocol.
So when you're setting your goals for the month, you want to be able to hit them by the 15th, if I'm not mistaken.
And if you're not on track on the 15th, you go, okay, the world is ending. I got to stop doing what I'm doing and figure out how to hit those goals. You got to change direction. That's the 15th protocol. Now, really, what Gary is saying now, in many aspects, is like the one-day protocol. You're off day 1. When should you look at changing strategy? That day. I mean, with the shifting market, it's got to be instantaneously, and yet the 15th protocol is what we've operated on. Anything else?
Entering your people into Bold and Ignite and being a Ignite student yourself.
No, one more time.
Going to Bold and going to Ignite.
Why would we want and suggest and encourage people to go into Bold?
It'll change your career, it'll change your mind, and just make you grow as a person. So when you grow, you become better.
So Spencer, let's look at this. Let's just have a conversation. You're a leader and you send your people to Bold and you don't go. Why not? I heard the cringes, and yet how does that look to the person you're leading?
Not very good.
Okay, you go and you don't bring them.
Not very good either.
There's such a disconnect, isn't it? You don't see the value if you're not there. Well, yeah, absolutely. And when they, oh, by the way, hold on. Write this down from a leadership perspective. They don't leave the company, they leave the leader. Okay? They don't leave the company, they leave the leader.
That's so true.
So when you're not leading at the highest level and they see others that are leading at the highest level, i.e. another team in the market center, is Rainmaker is there and all their agents are there, they go, whoa, maybe I'm not on the right team. Say that loud one more time because everybody needs to write it down, Jarvis.
How can your colleagues, these people you're bringing on, believe in the culture if you're not a part of the culture?
And what does a part of the culture mean?
Being held accountable.
Taking in whatever things are being offered, things that you have at your disposal. Just being, as he said, present for sure.
So, a sales meeting, a business meeting, whatever you all do each month, should you be at that meeting, yes or no?
Yes.
Now, can we talk in the room? It's a mastermind, right? If you don't go to your meeting, usually it's because you may not see value, true or false. Then what do people in a culture do when they don't see value? No, not yet. Don't leave yet. Okay, leaders lead. So here's what I do, Jarvis. I'd go to my team leader and I'd say, I'll show up at the meeting. If I'm struggling with value, I'm going to go be part of the solution. Be part of the what? Solution. I'm not going to leave. I've been with Keller Williams since 2002. There's things I struggle with sometimes. Yet you'd never know it. I go to my leaders and I go, hey, Jarvis, you know what? I got this issue. I'd love to come to your meetings. However, honestly, if I can I be totally honest with you? I'm not getting a ton of value. How can I help bring value to the meeting so we can get more people to come? Are you with me? Guys, be part of the solution. And what Jarvis is saying is so critical on everything from a leadership perspective. What else? Guys, this is a big topic, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Huge topic.
I think it's important to bring them to events like this.
Hello. So you put money aside to bring every team member. Okay, so it's so important. Guys, think like leaders. So let's say Jarvis is here. Can you and I talk? You're my team, right? Jarvis, first of all, when you join my team, there's gonna be certain expectations.
Okay.
And one of the expectations is we're gonna have to attend events because I'm learning based and I desire for you to be learning based. Is that okay with you? Should this be an expectation before you hire him? Yes or no? Now, Jarvis, here's the deal. We're going to set goals in our business because you're now in my business. We're going to set goals. When you hit those goals, I'll take care of everything.
Sounds good.
We don't hit the goals, though, Jarvis. We're going to have to talk about the expense because, see, my budget is based upon you hitting goals. And I'm okay with investing in you. However, if the revenue doesn't come in because we didn't hit our goals, then we're going to have to talk about what that looks like.
You're saying I might have to commit to?
You won't, Jarvis, if we hit our goals.
Oh, okay.
And you made a commitment to me when I hired you that you were all on board with the goals I shared with you and the expectations.
I did.
Might this want to be a conversation you have out front, yes or no? These folks have families. They're not just going to drop everything unless they know. Guys, they always have to have some skin in the game. Do you have any type of accountability with them when they come down here? So not only do we have them come down, we actually have accountability versus them going to the pool and sitting on the beach and, there's no beach in Austin.
I was about to say that.
But they also have to bring back a number of action items. We're meeting on Monday to go over their action.
They have to bring back value.
Right.
Guys, leadership is not easy. It's not easy. At all, it's not easy. Because you're interacting with human beings, and human beings are not always predictable. Go. Or do we have some? Go.
We only identified one of the top 20% activities for leaders, and that was prospecting for talent. Should we identify more?
Where did that come from? Yes, I'd love that. Which table brought that up? Okay, yes, let's go. I'd love that. Thank you for bringing us back to that. So what were the other 20% activities? First is lead generating for talent. Or lead generating for buyers and sellers. What else would be a 20% for leadership? Okay, so write this down. Talk about the pipeline. What else? Go.
You nailed it, the education on becoming a leader.
So growing them as a leader.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example of how this works in MAPS. We all had to buy a book before we came down to family reunion. We had accountability. Diana made us read the book. It was called Make Your Bed. And then when we came down, Diana inspected what she expected, and we talked about what we learned in that book. And guys, I've been around leadership a long time, and there was a whole bunch of things I'm like, wow. Oh, by the way, one of my action items is both of my kids, my 23 and my 21-year-old, are getting a copy of the book when I get home because it will have an impact on them. So that's another great way to do it. What else? What other 20% activities? How, one more time? Negotiations. Tell me what you mean by that. Your job is to negotiate deals for your people. So I love that, and we were talking about 20% as a leader. So that'd be 20% as in production. Thank you, though. Is there anything else in the 20% a leader?
Create opportunity.
Okay, so write that down because I think that's 20% job of leaders, create opportunity. Check the time. We're a little late. Okay, one more time.
What time is it?
4:07. Thank you so much.
4:07.
20%? Oh, write that down. You need to be hitting your own goals. Kind of hard for me to go, hey, you go hit your goal. I'm sorry, my goal's not all that important. Pretty good list, yes or no? Are we missing anything on the 20%? Okay, we'll list it out. So, Brittany, go ahead, read it.
Prospecting for talent every day.
Prospecting for talent every day.
Talk about pipeline.
Talk about pipeline.
Growing as a leader.
So we're going to grow them as a leader.
Oh, I understood it as we're growing ourselves as a leader.
Okay, good. You're right. Okay.
Create opportunity.
Create opportunity.
Hit your own goals.
Hit your own goals. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Scott?
Continuing to build on the foundation and adding on more duplicatable systems to the team so the team continue the process to be able to grow.
Say that again, Scott.
Continuing to build the foundation so the team can continue to grow, as well as adding duplicatable systems day in and day out that are going to be able to help the team as the team continues to grow.
So as a leader, I'm responsible for the systems.
You are making sure that they're ran right and making sure that the standards are hit, not suggested.
So your responsibility is to hire the talent and make sure that the systems are in place and they're being followed.
Correct.
So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know all of your production. I don't know all of you yet. I do know Scott. And Scott, and here's why I say this. Y'all want to get to know this guy. Scott, how many homes have you listed here today?
188.
Is he in the wrong room?
It was sold out most of it.
Oh, so I was your second choice?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know.
Guys, I've had Scott in Bold, and I followed him, and he and I talk quite a bit. I'm actually going to be interviewing him here in about a month or so. And you've been in real estate how long?
This is my 3rd year.
Now, yeah, give him a hand. If you ask him what he's done, it's very simple, isn't it?
It's follow the will. I mean, the red book, it has everything there.
That's all he's done. And I mean, I don't have to take it away from all he's done. You've been in Bold how many times?
8
And you have had a coach for how long?
since I started.
Not that it matters. Where you out of, Scott?
San Antonio, Texas.
What's your last name, Scott?
He's Scott Maloof, yeah. And you're in the market center of how many agents?
There's 1,050 agents in our office, and we have the #1 team now out of 1,050.
Yeah, give him a hand, give him a hand. So what Scott, the reason that I wanted to bring that out to Scott is what he said is absolutely true. You began building systems the day you started selling real estate. It wasn't about where you are right now, it's about where you were going to. Yeah.
Like we have our 20-year vision, we have our 5-year vision. Like in 5 years, it's 85 members on the team doing 2,500 units a year, doing $500 million in production. We have the circles there, just finding out the who. So we're always looking for the who, we're always looking for talent. The 20% is looking for talent. I mean, that's what we're always looking for.
So do we have the 20% of creating the vision? I don't think we listed that, did we? So would y'all agree that what Scott is saying should be part of our 20% ongoing, yes or no? Does it sound like he has a pretty clear vision? And he's had that vision since I met him back in 2017. Yes, sir.
I guess my question is that on
To creating the vision?
in some ways, is it not just setting the vision, setting it out far enough, or you may need to readjust. I'm thinking, is this a daily, a weekly, or monthly, or sort of an annual?
Well, let's ask Scott. How often do you think about the vision?
I think about it daily. I mean, my team knows the vision, everybody knows the vision, and that's what I'm held accountable to.
Has it changed, Scott?
It has changed. It has changed, and it's gone. You know, it's getting bigger. And as I continue to add others on the team, we still got to make sure that their world can fit into my world. So if my vision's not getting big enough for them, then I'm not the one. Yeah, I'm not the leader.
If you heard one of the panelists today or yesterday, I'm sorry, I think it was yesterday. He said, it was Ben Kenny, and it was all those panelists, I need to create a world big enough that I can bring people into my world and they'll never, in essence, leave. And I know from Scott, if I can share and stop me, last year you didn't hit your goal.
Correct.
And that wasn't because of desire or intention, it was because you had some family things go on that would take anybody off their goal.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying with this is you had to recast that vision because now we were a little bit behind to where you wanted to end last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen in life, and postponement can be permanent.
Yeah.
And you got to just continue to grow. And when things happen, you're never a victim. You're victorious no matter the situation, and that's how you're able to become who you're supposed to become.
That's how you respond.
Yeah.
Chad, give him a hand, guys. Chad, does that answer your question?
I'm trying to think about mental set. When are you working on this? Is it something? I'm going back to the 5 things, the process, negotiating. Like those
Yeah.
things you're doing, like carving out the time to have that in the front of your head of like what you're working on in leadership.
So,
I think that's what I'm looking for.
yeah, so let me help you with this. Scott, how much time do you spend on a daily basis thinking about vision?
mean, it's all I think about. I mean, it's when I'm with the team.
That wasn't the answer I was expecting.
What do you mean?
Well, what Chad is struggling with, I think a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong, is where do I fit it in? And like, how much time does it take to think about all this?
No, I think about it. I'm just asking, like,
It's already set. I mean, it's.
maybe focus on execution.
Yes, you said it,
it's looking
focus on
for the- It's
execution.
looking for the who now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's set, and then I think about, okay, is this person gonna fit our family? Is it gonna fit our culture? Does this person fit who we're looking for this role? And
So Chad, let me do this. I think I can help, because if you have this question, others do too. The ultimate success formula says I set the goal, then I get into action, and then I track my numbers. So where this comes back around is when I track my numbers and I'm off, that's where I gotta go back and make adjustments and think about it. I think that's what you're asking. That's what forces us to go back and think about it.
I'm of the mindset that sometimes I'll go to Division 2 up.
Okay.
As sort of vision.
Yeah.
My goal is to focus more on the execution, the implementation, getting the right people in that place to drive the goal, as opposed to keep thinking 3 years.
Yeah. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah. More fun places sometimes for me to go. And yet, if I don't hit my monthly goal, I'm not going to get to where I want to be.
So here'd be some coaching. Just go to the numbers, and that'll force you to go to the execution. And then the vision doesn't matter unless you hit the numbers. Yeah, I love that. Okay, guys, you ready for a little break? Look at your watches right now. What time y'all have?
4:14.
4:14, 4:15, whatever. We're going to round to 4:15. We'll start back up at 4:30. By the way,